What's up guys? In the video of today we're going to talk about the Mi 11 Ultra. So this phone I've been using now for a week. But I have to say right away, I have been using it on the Chinese version. So that means like the software was only in English or Chinese. And don't worry, within a few days I can change it to Dutch, English, not normal English, but also to let's say German, Spanish, French, all those kind of languages. This also has to do with all the functionalities and also more support for applications around here. But I was a little bit too, I would say, I was like, you know what, let's set up, let's see how this software is performing. So I have to be honest, the software that I will be putting on the phone is around the same as this one, because it will be like the Chinese ROM, but then with Europe languages and support for some apps. But the software is around the same, because the person that is creating those ROMs, the Xiaomi.eu ROM, they kinda use this ROM as a base. It has one thing that's great about it, the updates are faster than with the normal global ROM. So that ROM is sometimes a little bit slow, this is a little bit faster. So let's first talk about the packaging. So the phone came in a very small box. This also has to do because of the Chinese version. Like the global version, some do offer a charger included in the box. But this one was no charger inside the box, but I bought it from Trading Shenzhen and they provide me a charger out of the box. So with delivery there was a charger, the big one. But it was not in this box but in its own packaging. So what was included is the case, SIM injection tool, and one paper, and that's it. So everything you need to really get started. I have to be honest, the case, I don't really like it. Like I'm using it now because other cases are taking a little bit longer than I expected. But I have to be honest, the case is alright. But there's one problem with the case, the built-in screen protector is getting loose because of the case. So it wasn't very designed very well together. So let's get right into what I think about the phone. So first off, let's put it all back aside again and let's talk about the back, because that's something a lot of people have been talked about. And I have to be honest, the camera is big. But not only the camera, like there's also a secondary screen on the back. I can show you now, it's like on. And now you see the time on it, but you can also like put an image on it, some information about notifications. And when somebody is calling, you can like take the call here. When it's charging, you see a little bit of charging animation on the back. The second screen, I have to be honest, the functionalities are still very limited. Like other reviewers and other people that have been using the phone, we all have the same feeling about the screen. They could have done a lot more with it. Like for example, it's never on. It's only on when you double tap on it. Why not make like a functionality to keep it always on, like always on display? Because this is much smaller, lower resolution, so better for battery life instead of using the 2K front screen. Second thing that have annoyed me a little bit is the brightness. The brightness could have been a little bit higher. Like in sunlight you don't really see the time or something else. It could have been a little bit brighter. To be honest, it still looks like a very big bump for a camera. But the camera quality, very decent. Here are some small shots that I will show you guys now. And especially the 50 megapixel mode, that's something I really like. I do not recommend it in low light, because in low light, the auto mode is a little bit better, because that one is like more balanced and more like set up for low light. But if you are on daylight, the 50 megapixel really gives you a very sharp image. It's also like a normal picture is around 6 or 7 megabytes, and with the 50 megapixel mode you get around 25-30 megabytes. So also a lot more to zoom in. So even with the phone itself you can zoom very much into the picture, and still very well detailed. So again, the camera, I have to say, especially the main camera, I really are happy with it. Like I had the OnePlus 9 Pro. The problem with the OnePlus 9 Pro was the battery life wasn't really great, and the camera was great, but not always. So this one has a little better balance in the cameras. Like for example with the OnePlus 9 Pro, especially with the ultra wide camera, sometimes you get like a very great picture, but there are also some moments where I think like it could have been a little bit better. For example with the colors, like OnePlus has a new kind of color calibration with together with Hasselblad, and that was very fine if it worked, but the problem was it didn't always work. Like sometimes the picture was a little bit yellow or a little bit green or a little bit too dark or a little bit too bright. And I don't say that the Xiaomi is like the best in the pictures, like sometimes this phone also has the feeling to sometimes over bright pictures or to make some too dark. Especially the AI mode I don't really recommend, like it makes every picture a little bit too blue. So if you use the phone, disable that, and the HDR mode you can put on auto, so it doesn't always work, but sometimes when it's really needed you do get a little bit more dynamic range. You also get dynamic shot. I've tested that out and it's just like you get a little bit more colors. They try to imitate the 10-bit color profile, and it does look a little bit more colorful, but the problem with the dynamic shot is you can't really use it on all devices, of course. So yeah, picture sides, very great camera, at least a lot better than the 9 Pro. That one was just like sometimes very great, but it was so unbalanced, like one time good, other time bad. And yeah, a very slow shutter speed, like when you want to take a picture with Xiaomi it's much faster, like it takes the picture. And with the OnePlus 9 Pro there was a delay, like if I now like touch the button and I will push, it really also takes that picture. And with the 9 Pro sometimes you really had pictures that was like bad or to move too much because you thought, oh, the picture is finished. And with like the Mi 11 Ultra it's a little bit less present. So the camera, photos great, video also very great. Like the latest videos I've been using the Mi 11 Ultra. Audio is also pretty decent, but I did notice that there is a third microphone here and that one was kind of covered with the case, so sometimes it sounded not very well, maybe because of the case. But for next videos I will try to keep the case away. I do have this camera where I'm recording now with, but I have to be honest, the Mi 11 Ultra does give a little bit better image in like a little bit lower light situation. I have to be honest, the Panasonic camera that I've been using now is not bad, but the lens is much smaller than this one. Like this is 1.9 and that is like 2.8, and it's like almost 40% smaller, the camera. So you do need to push a little bit more ISO on it and extra lighting, and then you get a little bit more noise. So I have set it up now to give an okay image, so I can make this review for this phone. So video quality, I'm really impressed with it, and of course the picture quality. So let's talk about the screen. And the screen, I have to be honest, it is definitely brighter than the 9 Pro. Like for example, the 9 Pro of the OnePlus, the screen wasn't like low, like in sunlight it was really really bright. But the problem was with manual control on the brightness, you couldn't do it very high. And with this Mi 11 Ultra you can do much higher on manual brightness. So this is manual brightness now. And of course you can put it on auto, but the problem of course I'm inside and it's not very bright, so it darkens a little bit. But if you are in the sunlight, the peak brightness also a little bit higher. So yeah, you can definitely see the screen very well. Even with this like now getting bad screen protector, you still see everything on the screen. There's one thing I didn't like, not necessarily about the screen, but about the fingerprint reader under the screen. I have set it up 3 or 4 times, and I have to be honest, the 9 Pro screen protector was a little bit faster and more accurate. This one's also a little bit smaller, but like it does work, but yeah, like smaller, and it's a little bit slower. And that you can really see it, especially if you have the screen like off and you put the finger on it. It takes really almost a second. This could also have to do with all those Chinese applications that try to use the fingerprint reader to shortcut you to an app. So I'm not sure, maybe in the other ROM, like the European ROM, that will be a little bit less annoying. So the fingerprint reader is a bit slower. So that's about the fingerprint reader. The screen, great. great brightness, also a lot of settings like customization, if you like to have like manual control on the colors, on the white balance, on the saturation, everything is possible. So like OnePlus was already very great with like customize your phone, but this one is also not very bad. Like of course it isn't stock Android and you can see it like on the software side, no notification, everything's a little bit different. But again, I do get used to it. It is hard for me because I always have been using like almost stock Android, but I do like it. It's like a little bit new, refreshing, like the camera application works great, like the settings, I have to get used to it, but if I'm using it, it's very decent. Like you have here all the settings together, and for example if you go to the screen settings, that's something I really like, then you have here like the settings for the dark mode and everything. But when you go to the underside, there's also extra like info, for example the rear display. So those settings are a little bit like hidden, but you can find them if you go to the underside, and then you can go to the rear display settings. So you can change the time, you can change to a picture, or for example to this, like a butterfly that's like flying. And that's something I really like about this phone. So it really gives you like, yeah, great performance and great kind of functionality. So let's talk about the sound quality. I have been calling with the phone for a week now, so for work and for private things, and I can say the quality is very decent. The internet speed, I had some problems with it. It also has to do with the Chinese ROM, but I have a 5G like SIM card, and not like the fastest 5G, it's like the low 5G, it's 4G plus with a little bit more speed. But the speed was very slow. It was really like only 3 Mbits per second, I believe, and normally it's around 150 to 100. So it was a problem with my API. I've read on forums that each Xiaomi phone sometimes the auto settings aren't good. So I tuned some things and now it's fast and decent. The Wi-Fi I have never had problems with. We have 5 GHz Wi-Fi here. It works flawless. Even here in my sleeping room, enough connection, and the speed is just as fast as our Wi-Fi can go. So no problems with that. The sound of the, let's say the speakers on the phone, they are pretty great. So I'm going to look for a song. So let's see. I know I talk a lot and I don't really like to edit it all out of the video. So I like really to give you guys my opinion without editing into this. Of course some advertising. So one thing I don't like about this phone has to be the back. Like I have here like a claw to get all the fingerprints away. It is ceramic, so it's a little bit more resistant to scratches than glass, but also very dangerous with dropping it. So that is a little bit less great. But I did order a case and screen protector for the rear display or the rear camera, so it will be covered. So let's get right into a song, just to let you guys hear it. So put on the table, sounds very great either. And I have to say, like the OnePlus had Dolby Atmos sound, but I do like this more. This is produced with Harman Kardon, but yeah, it's just like a brand, so I don't really look to that kind of thing. Like for example, with the JBL speakers, yeah, they are also from Harman Kardon. That doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, okay, that's good, but they are very well tuned. But of course the bottom speaker is a little bit louder, but that's with almost every phone with stereo speakers. But one thing I do like about this phone is that, like for example, the upper speaker that's here also has an opening on the upper side of the phone. So you have a little bit more stereo separation than with other phones. You have also an IR blaster, so you can use it as a remote for your TV, DVD player, etc. And yeah, you definitely feel that this phone has been really focused on media use, camera use, video recording use, but even the gaming experience is pretty decent. Like it doesn't overheat a lot, like it does get pretty warm, but not like with the OnePlus 9 Pro. That was really a problem, that the phone shuts down or the camera can't be used because it's too warm. This phone also gets warm, but that has to do with the Snapdragon, but at least Xiaomi allows to use the camera still, or to still use a game, to not like put the brightness of 5% total. That's a lot better with this phone. Of course there are some risks with that, like the battery drains very fast with a lot of heat, but I still think the battery life was decent. Like I used it around 4 or 5 hours and I had a screen on time of around 3 or 2 hours between that, and the battery was still at 50%. And with the 9 Pro it was already on 25-30%. So I definitely feel a better battery experience with this phone, with heavy use. If you use it normally, the Xiaomi has very great battery saving settings. And if you use those, you can really get almost 2 days out of the battery. And that makes the battery pretty great for day use. So this is like my first week review. I know it has been a very long video, maybe. But I will make another video when I've been using it more weeks with the other software, so I can use it in my own language. Like for example, one thing that does annoy me with the Chinese ROM is all those Chinese apps, bloatware, like always notifications of Xiaomi, discount, and I can't use my bank apps like for paying with the phone yet, because the Chinese Mi app for payment is getting into the way. But I can do banking, like for just see how much how everything is going. But yeah, really, like I can't pay with the phone yet because that stupid Chinese ROM has those bloatware apps. But again, if the software will change tomorrow or over 2 days maybe, it will definitely be a lot better experience for me here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.